So to recap in Act 1, like, Vi has lost everyone throughout all of Season 1 because it covers both her childhood and the main storyline. So we get to see how many people she's lost. I mean, we can list them off again. She's lost Claggor, Milo, Vander, her mother, and her father. She's basically lost Jinx, although she reconnects with her at some point. And all she really has is Caitlyn at the beginning of this season. So of course she's really protective of Caitlyn, and she really wants to be good to Caitlyn because Caitlyn is all Vi has left. So Vi sacrifices a lot of her identity and becomes an enforcer to try to help Caitlyn get Jinx, because Vi and Caitlyn are both convinced that Jinx is not a great person anymore and she's not who she once was. And this is something that Vi believes but is also convinced by Caitlyn to believe. So throughout this Act 1, Vi and Caitlyn go off on their little adventure and gas the Undercity and do a lot of not nice things that aren't really that great. So, but then at the end of it, Vi realizes, with Isha helping, that Jinx might not be completely gone. Jinx might be an actual redeemable character here. So instead of helping Caitlyn kill Jinx like Vi was set up to do, she says, "Nah, no thanks, girl," and sabotages Caitlyn's mission to kill Jinx, which Caitlyn gets very upset about because Caitlyn has her own reasons for killing Jinx, because Jinx killed her mother, and Caitlyn feels as if she's failed to protect the city of Piltover and her mom and her family. So Caitlyn's pissed off. Caitlyn hits Vi and basically abandons her, and now Vi has no one. So enter to Act 2, Vi has no one, is going through an emo phase because of it, and Jinx is watching this happen because Vi defied Caitlyn's control when Vi decided to not let her shoot Isha, right? Because that's what happened. So Jinx is like, oh my god, maybe my sister isn't head over heels for an enforcer again. Oh my god, maybe she's redeemable. So both characters are thinking both of them are redeemable, but Vi obviously isn't going after Jinx in the same way that Jinx is going after Vi. But then Jinx needs Vi's help to go get Vander because of personal reasons and just because she feels safer with her sister, and she feels like the two of them should do this together, because last time they went to save Vander, Vi abandoned Jinx and didn't want her to come. So Jinx is thinking, we should go together because last time it didn't end well when we didn't go together. So they go together, la-di-dee, la-di-da. Oh my god, they're yay, I don't freaking know, they're bonding again. Vi is thinking, oh my god, maybe I can have my family back. Maybe I can have people back. Maybe not all hope is lost. Maybe I didn't fail at protecting these people when I was younger, which is great. Until they get Vander, and Vander's all messed up because he's Warwick now, and yay. Until Jace comes in and ruins the whole thing, and Jinx loses Isha, which makes her whole mental thought of herself collapse because Isha was the only thing keeping her together. And now Vi has lost Jinx again, but she hasn't really got back Caitlyn because she only trusted Caitlyn. She hardly trusted Caitlyn to help them pull this off because they knew that Caitlyn's little gang of warmongering people and Bassa were coming, and Caitlyn dished Bassa for Vi, and that was a whole thing. And basically, Vi didn't really trust Caitlyn, so she put Jinx to watch her for that. So Vi now has nobody again. Yay. And now we're at Act 3, guys.
Vi was strong because she was afraid. Her fear of losing us is what made her fight so hard.
So Act 3 is conceived of 3 separate episodes, right? 2 of those which have Vi in it more than the others because episode 7 is in the alternate universe that Echo and Heimerdinger travel to. But we'll still talk about episode 7 because I think there's some interesting points that I'd like to go about. And one of them is that Vi is not alive in the alternate universe. She died in the explosion when they went on the job in the beginning of season 1, which is interesting because now Powder, or the alternate universe Powder, is the sole survivor of that, sole surviving sister, if you will. So that means that Powder now has guilt about Vi dying because Powder has adopted Vi's role in the Undercity, because Vi was originally the gang group leader, and now Powder had to succeed that when Vi died in the alternate universe. So a lot of Powder's actions can be related to Vi in that way. You know, Vander's talking about her taking over, or Vander doesn't want her to take over because he wants her to go something bigger, but she wants to continue the little thing, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. AU Powder also has a stripe of red in her hair to symbolize Vi as a tribute. Jinx is also wearing Vi's necklace that she wore during the job, which is interesting because it's kind of like a tribute to Vi in a way. Again, her whole entire character is about a tribute to Vi, like the hair, the shrine in her house. So in the episode, Echo tries to make up for his little mistake in the beginning of the episode, saying like, he's just confused because he came from a universe where Jinx was absolutely nuts. And Jinx isn't nuts, but he still thinks she's nuts. So he literally is like, oh my god, did you kill your sister? And she's like, what the hell are you talking about? Because it's clear that she probably has some guilt about her sister dying in this universe. And she's just sitting there and she's like, oh, okay. She takes it surprisingly well, too. I don't know. I feel like if someone said that to me, I would be like, really like mad, but she gets angry, but it's clear that she has more control over her emotions now, which is great. But to make up for this, he makes a portrait of Vi from his world and what she looks like when she's older, which is something Jinx wouldn't have seen in this universe because, well, Vi died when they were like really little, right? And Echo goes on to say that Vi was this really like badass person, and she was strong and tough and just like really fierce. And Jinx, alternate universe Jinx, or Powder, sorry, she's like, no, that wasn't my sister. My sister was afraid. That's why she fought for us. And the exact quote is,
Vi was strong because she was afraid. Well, her fear of losing us is what made her fight so hard.
which is still true to this day. You know, Vi's entire purpose throughout the show is really to fight for her loved ones. That's her identity. She doesn't really have a self-driven identity anymore. It's more like, I need to preserve my family because I've lost so many people in the past, and I need to protect those people because people weren't there to protect me. People have died and I haven't been able to save them. So that is her entire thing throughout season 2, but also season 1 in a way, if you think about it, with Jinx and her trying to find Jinx the entire season. So this quote, although it's in a different universe, still holds a lot of truth in the original universe that we're all used to.
Say it. You told me so. I was an idiot to trust her. I went behind your back. I choose wrong every time. And because of it, I've lost everyone.
So in episode 8, Killing is a Cycle, Vi wakes up from being hurt. If you remember, she was hurt during episode 6. She was cut in the same place again. Poor Vi. But she wakes up in Caitlyn's bed. Oh wow, that's crazy. And the first thing that you should probably notice is that Caitlyn's room is violet themed. Aw, that's such a subtle detail, and I love that about the show because they do a lot of things like that, and I think it's just really interesting. But yeah, Caitlyn's wall is like violet themed, like the color, obviously, which is interesting. The second thing that you should notice is that Vi's hair has been washed out. So we can say that Caitlyn didn't really like the oil slicked hair very much, and she washed that all out. So that's interesting. And this might be because Caitlyn values appearance a lot. Like, you can see this throughout the season, even just how she dresses herself in general. A lot of people also said that Caitlyn like laid next to Vi because there's a divot in the bed. I don't know how much I believe that. I mean, I believe it as a fangirl of them. I believe it, but I don't know if I don't know. Like, I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just like, that to me that's a little far, but be it as you wish. Maybe she did. I wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, Caitlin is a very comforting and physical person, so I wouldn't be surprised if she had done that for Vi, because she was clearly worried about her. I mean, Vi's like got friggin' slashed in the side there. So the next thing is that Vi asked for Kate and then for Jinx. So there's that. I don't know what that's supposed to mean to you. To me, that's like romantic love over sibling love. But that's just my opinion. So that's super sweet. Just like a cute detail. I don't know. But then Vi gets told that Jinx was captured and is now in prison, which sets Vi off, obviously, because Len, Vi was in prison for like 6 years. So obviously she doesn't want her sister, her little sister, to endure something like that, because she endured something like that. And she doesn't want other people to go through that. And two, because this shows that Caitlyn still doesn't trust Jinx, which Vi had assumed in episode 6, because Vi literally sent Jinx to watch Caitlyn in case Caitlyn was using them. So Vi is tweaking out because Jinx was arrested, like she was a long time ago. And this means that Caitlyn still doesn't trust Jinx, which she should have by now in Vi's mind. So she comes storming out of her room, still like bandaged up, and she's like, "What the freak, Caitlyn?" And Caitlyn's like, "Oh, hey girl." And it's a really awkward but like angry exchange between the two of them. Vi points out that Jinx saved her life. Like, Jinx fully, like, Caitlyn would have been cooked if Jinx hadn't saved her from that weird Ragnarok guy. So this just proves that Jinx is a good person, and Caitlyn's still like, You know, Vi goes on about how Caitlyn would have never saved Jinx's life because Jinx killed her mom.
Vi, she saved your life. If you will just calm down for one, even knowing you'd never have done the same for her.
And this all just means that Caitlyn hasn't changed in Vi's mind, and I bet Vi was really hoping that Caitlyn abandoning Ambessa meant that she had changed, and Caitlyn was now good old Caitlyn again, which is part of the reason Vi gets really upset when Caitlyn throws this little toy boat, and Vi just looks at it and just looks kind of like her. It's because in the end, Vi misses Caitlyn. Caitlyn was such an impact on Vi in the first season, how like warm she was and like understanding, being an enforcer and all. So to see this kind of angry sort of Caitlyn who doesn't seem to care about people at all is really just not nice. It's not nice. None of us liked watching that, and I don't think Vi liked watching it either. And Caitlyn throwing the boat on the floor just shows Vi how she still hasn't changed. She still has this anger. And this is where Vi really goes off on Caitlyn, because Vi is upset that Caitlyn left Vi for fucking Ambessa, which is rightfully so, especially given Vi's values about family. Caitlyn and Vi were like family, and now Caitlyn's just given that all up to go with Ambessa, who Vi kind of detected from the start wasn't a great person.
How long were you sidled up with that shifty, self-serving war pig? She oinked poison in your ear and you just ate it.
Vi ate with this one, let's just say. Vi eats sometimes. She really does. She says things so flat out and just like unfiltered, I guess. Like, she said it how it is. Yeah, Caitlyn was fucking used, and she points that out. And because of that, Caitlyn gets pissed.
I know!
Caitlyn's like, "I knew that happened," in her little British voice. And she's deflecting it because obviously she realizes now that Ambessa was a poor choice on her part. But it's important to point out that Vi and Caitlyn have not had a formal apology. Caitlyn hasn't gone, "Sorry guys, sorry Vi, I didn't mean to hit you and leave you and abandon you while you were crying and walk away and then not talk to you for 6 months. Sorry, my bad." And Vi, they never talked it out, which is toxic because there's a lot of underlying tension underneath. So this conversation is like 10 times more tense because of that, because there hasn't been an informal apology, because there wasn't an informal apology in episode 6. When Caitlin tells Vi that Jinx surrendered and it wasn't actually Caitlin who arrested Jinx, Vi suddenly is like, she's like, well, my sister's changed. And Kate's like,
We can't erase our mistakes. None of us.
we can't erase our mistakes. She includes herself on this. Sorry. I can't do this. And Vi's like, then who decides who gets a second chance? And this is a little foreshadowing for you. Who chooses to have a second chance in season 2? Caitlin, Victor, and Jinx, they all decide to have second chances at redemption. So it's kind of like an overall theme, if you will. But this just sets up like a whole thing because. So all in all, because Caitlin is currently an untrustable character to Vi's like, she has to go back to Jinx because as of right now, she can't go back to Caitlin because Caitlin betrayed her trust. So she's like, oh my god, I need to get my sister out of the friggin' prison and maybe she can help us. And maybe she won't be depressive espresso. Vi goes to Jinx's little holding cell where Jinx is not doing great. She's definitely having a time down there. Vi comes in, swipes the guard keys, which Caitlin set up, by the way. She swipes the guard keys, tries to convince Jinx that, hey, homegirl, maybe if you come like be on our side for a bit, you could like change things and get a second chance. But Jinx is like, yeah, no, I'm good. Vi trying to convince Jinx isn't really working, but Vi wants it to work because Jinx is, she really has left. She doesn't really have Caitlin right now because they haven't made a formal apology, and Caitlin still doesn't trust Jinx, and clearly Caitlin has changed from the person Vi met. Vi is desperately trying to cling on to the one person she has left, which is Jinx. But Jinx wants none of it. She's like, yeah, no, I'm good. And she like locks she like jukes Vi and locks her in the prison cell, which is like low-key traumatizing because now Vi's stuck in the prison cell, which she was stuck in for 6 years, and Jinx has left her, which is like a parallel to when Vi left Jinx and was stuck in a prison cell, but now Jinx is leaving Vi and Vi's still stuck in the prison cell. And Vi like starts tweaking out. And the way Jinx does this is so mean because she fucking punches Vi to get out of the prison cell in the same spot that Vi has been hit countless times before, over and over again, because Vi shows vulnerability and then she gets hit in the gut. It feels like anytime Vi shows like a bit of emotion, she like gets like physical retaliation for it, which is part of the reason why I feel like she's so emotionally bottled up. If you've noticed throughout the show, she doesn't really cry in front of people. She kind of just like silently cries away from people or uses drinking to suppress her emotions. So yeah, maybe that's why. It was also because she was like a leader to groups of people all the time, and she felt like showing any vulnerability or weakness wasn't a great thing because these people counted on her, which is something Vander told her.
When people look up to you, you don't get to be selfish. You say run, they run. You say swim, they dive in. You say light a fire, they show up with oil. But whatever happens, it's on you.
It's really sad if you think about it. Like, Vi gets hurt so much during this show by everyone she loves, by Jinx, by Caitlin. Like, it's just like, it's like over and over again. It's like, can Homegirl catch a break? Like, good lord. And to make things worse, Jinx thinks it's the opposite of what Vi thinks. Vi is trying to get Jinx back into her life and get Jinx better again because Jinx is all Vi has. But Jinx is thinking that Caitlin is all Vi has. So Jinx is like, you deserve to be with her, guys. Sorry. And Vi's like, but I don't want to be with her. And it's like, it's such a miscommunication. It's so bad. Another thing is that Vi like just got Jinx back after like a whole like season and a half, and now Jinx is just gone kapoof. So all of that work has been for nothing. This scene with Jinx and Vi asking Jinx to help is also a crazy parallel to season 1, because season 1, Vi would have never asked Jinx to help her ever, period. I mean, that's like literally the mistake that she made in like episode like 3 or something, is that she was like, I don't want your help because you're just gonna screw us all up. And now she's like, please help us, please. Like, you need to stay with me. I'm very lonely right now, and you're like the only person I have left, so please stay with me. And she doesn't, and she dips, and she says, peace. So Vi, in an angry fit of rage, freaks out and punches the wall, and she's now trapped in a prison cell. She doesn't feel too good, and she's just abandoned by her sister, so that's great. So now Vi again has nobody. Whoop-de-doo, she's alone again. Yay. Homegirl can't catch a break, goddamn. So now Vi is just thinking, I should just stop trying, because at this point, Vi has tried over and over again to get the people she loves back in her life, to protect the people she loves back in her life, and it never works, which is why she starts crashing out when Caitlin comes in. At this point, she thinks she's lost Caitlin too, because Caitlin hasn't come back into her life as a trustworthy person yet, until a little moment after. But then Caitlin enters, and Vi's still locked in the prison cell, and it's a big parallel to the first time they met, when Caitlin was an untrustable character and Vi's in a prison cell. Vi's quote when she's like, just tell me like that I fucked up again, please. And she's like, basically like, yeah, Caitlin, I know I messed up. Like, I went behind your back. I tried to trust Jinx and it didn't work out. Like you said, you were right. Like, I'm sorry. And I don't have anyone anymore. She literally says, I don't have anyone anymore. Which includes Caitlin, who's right in front of her, which is kind of brutal, but okay. Not gonna lie. But then Caitlin's like,
You really think I needed all the guards at the Hex Gates?
first of all, I didn't actually know what the hell that was supposed to mean when I watched this scene. I was like, what does that mean? But it's her saying, like, I put them all there so that you could go get Jinx and, like, this would happen because I know you so well. Which is, like, so badass if you think about it, because it just shows that Caitlin knows Vi so well that she knew Vi was going to try to break Jinx out of prison. So she intentionally made it easier for Vi to steal the keys and everything. And it also shows that this is how Caitlin gets her second chance. She's showing Vi. Showing is more important than telling, guys, in any situation, but especially in this one. This shows Vi that she no longer views Jinx in the way that she did. I mean, would Act 1 Caitlin ever let Jinx just escape like that? No, she literally wanted her dead. Why would she do this for Jinx in Act 3 if something hadn't changed? So in Vi's mind, Vi's like, oh my god, the Caitlin that I met so long ago is back, guys. This is crazy. And Vi's method of thanking her is through physical touch. Vi is a very physical touching person, and so is Caitlin, which works out in their favors. During this scene, which I won't be showing for obvious reasons, there are some little like things you can notice about each character, which is really great. The first thing is that Vi embraces Caitlin with open hands instead of closed hands. If you noticed in Act 1 of Season 2, Vi embraces Caitlin with closed fists, which could be a vulnerability thing that shows physically her vulnerability and how she closes herself off with closed fists rather than open fists like this. So she embraces Caitlin with open hands, which is really significant for her character because this is the first time she's done that, and it shows how vulnerable and comfortable she is with Caitlin. Another thing is that when Caitlin's like, Vi, I've been seeing someone, Vi's like, okay, and like Vi doesn't care, and that shows that she obviously values Caitlin's trust and respect for Jinx and Caitlin's apology more than Maddie, because Caitlin's apology and Caitlin's trust in Jinx and Vi, and Caitlin showing Vi that she's changed her mind about Jinx is enough for Vi to not dislike the fact that Caitlin was with Maddie for a little bit. During the scene, Caitlin undresses Vi because they're doing interesting stuff. And she sees the wound on her side, and she touches it not because she knows that Vi is hurt there because of her bandages, but because that is also where Caitlin hit Vi in Act 1 and left her there. And Caitlin clearly still feels bad about this because Caitlin is such an empathetic and emotional person at her core, because we know this because of season 1, because of how she felt throughout season 1. So obviously she's empathetic and feels bad about this. And she touches it because touch is a part of her love language, if you will. So she touches it, basically saying, like, I'm sorry. And she feels bad. And Vi doesn't care. She pulls her in anyways, literally pulling her by her arm, which again shows apology and forgiveness, which is what this scene at its core is about. The whole scene is kind of an apology within itself with no words, which is great because sometimes an apology doesn't need words. By Caitlin letting Jinx escape with with Vi helping that whole situation, it is essentially showing Vi that Caitlin's admitting, I was wrong about Jinx. I trust her now. I'm not after her. Yada yada yada. Sweet. And Vi is like, oh my god, Caitlin's changed. And Vi kissing Caitlin and making out with her is essentially like a I forgive you. While Caitlin's action of allowing Vi to break Jinx out is just showing her, I'm sorry. And that's what I really like about this scene a lot. I am not one to like sex scenes in films because I don't think they always serve a great purpose. Because if there's just a random sex scene in a film, there's no point. What's the point? I don't want to watch two people do that. I'm sorry. I really don't. Like, I'm not that type of person to want to watch that. So when a sex scene comes on with zero significance whatsoever to the plot, to anything, it doesn't reveal anything about the characters could have just kissed to show that they were romantically interested in each other, but no, they have to have the whole thing. I just sit there and I'm like, there was no point to that. Like, that could have been easily cut out and not made a difference in the show. But with this scene, this next scene doesn't make sense, right? Like, if you look at this scene and the significance that is, and that's an apology and a forgiveness all in one. The next scene where Caitlin goes to hold Vi's hand doesn't make any sense at all, because without the sex scene of Vi and Caitlin, their argument is still present and they should not be holding hands. You feel what I mean? So like the sex scene means something, which is great. So like, that's why I like this scene so much, because it means something more. The scene is significant within itself because it literally drives the plot forward and deepens Caitlin and Vi's connection and heals their relationship.
I am the dirt under your nails, Cupcake. Nothing's gonna clean me out.
In one of the first scenes of episode 9, the last episode of the season, Vi, Jinx, Jace, and Mel are talking about like the game plan, because they're going to go to war with Mbessa and Victor, because sorry, because Victor wants to get to the Hex Gate. And they're talking, and Vi is shown to be kind of antsy, which makes sense because she's just now gotten Caitlin back. She doesn't know where Jinx is, and she probably still cares about Jinx. But more importantly, this is stressing her out because this is a full-on war, and Vi doesn't want to lose Caitlin. She doesn't want to lose anyone for that matter. She doesn't want to lose Piltover. She's just now gotten Caitlin back, and Caitlin's now the one thing that she's got back. So of course she doesn't want to lose her again. And losing this war would mean losing Caitlin, most likely. So of course she's worried about it. Another thing could be that she's thinking about the war that Piltover had with Zon on the bridge, that little fight when her mom and dad died. She could be having PTSD because of that. It's clear that she's worried. And during the scene, Caitlin comforts her by holding her hand. And the look that Jace and Mel give each other is really funny, because it's like, I think they know what just went down. So yeah, clearly Vi and Caitlin are in a better stance for their relationship, and it's likely healed by now, and they've forgiven each other and things are put in the past. Because when dealing with a war, you should not be thinking about your personal interrelationships. The next scene shows Betty Vi running through Piltover land with the hurt Jinxer on her back. And it's pretty badass. I will say that. She's a baddie. She sees the blue hair of the Jinxer, and for a moment I almost feel like she thinks that's Jinx, but it's not. And she sees this person, this Zonite, that Vander would have wanted to protect, everyone would have wanted to protect, and this person's dying. And Vi comforts her, and it's a really sweet scene. Vi does a great job at comforting her, and it really just shows her character. You know, she's worried about all this external stuff, but this Jinxer is the sole focus of Vi right now, and Vi knows how she feels. Vi is an empath, even though a lot of people don't pick up on that. You know, Vi is a comforter. She comforts Jinx, and she comforts Caitlyn, and when the Jinxer dies, her look is just like of like pure like shock, because this could be the equivalent of Caitlyn dying, of Jinx dying, of anyone dying that's really significantly close to her. And I feel like in this moment she's thinking, if I couldn't protect this person, can I protect the other people that I love? Which is why it's so devastating at the end of this episode when Jinx chooses to sacrifice herself, because throughout this entire episode, Vi is most likely worried about losing the people she loves, and then Jinx is just like, peace! And Vi's just like, oh, okay. And it's like, it's so heartbreaking to see at the end of the episode. So, but Vi and Jinx reunite when Jinx's cool, like, helicopter, not helicopter, like hot air balloon crashes. Vi runs straight past Echo to Jinx because that is who she cares about more. Jinx states that she's always with Vi, even when they are worlds apart. And this is kind of hard to decipher at first, because you're like, what? Because me being a literal person is like, what? They're on the same planet. What is she talking about? But Jinx is talking about their goals, more or less. And you can see Vi actually has like a hurt face when Jinx says this. And I'm not sure if that means she realized what Jinx was saying, or that she feels like they still aren't connected as she wants them to be. But when Jinx says that they are worlds apart, she means their goals, their values. Jinx came back because she wants to break the cycle, stop the killing. She wants to stop the suffering that she's brought her family. She wants to stop her suffering. Vi is fighting to get Jinx and Caitlyn back and protect them. They are not fighting for the same reasons in these scenes. They are fighting for opposite reasons together. The next time we see Vi in this fight scene is when Vander appears again. Homegirl cannot catch a break with this dude. Like, this dude has died like 3 times, and each time it just gets worse and worse. And I think when Vi first sees this new Warwick, there's a slight moment where she's like, oh my god, it's my dad, he's gonna help us. And then he just starts attacking everyone. She's like, oh, never mind. He's not on my side. And I feel like that's kind of sad. Like, Vi also doesn't go after this Warwick when she sees him. She like stands there and doesn't do anything, which contributes to her not wanting to fight her own dad. So in the end, when Vander is destroyed because Victor is dead, or Victor's consciousness is dead, I'm not really sure how that worked out, but like, Vi is next to him in a very dangerous like platform that's about to collapse, and she's seeing this dead Vander, who's a mutant, and it brings her back to that moment where she sees Vander dead with Shimmer infused in his blood in season 1, and it kind of gives her PTSD, which I don't blame her, because that would be a pretty traumatic memory. So she's just standing there and she's like, oh my god, my dad's dead. I failed to protect him. And she's like completely gone. She's not thinking about her safety or anything. And Jinx is there and she's like, homegirl, you need to get off the platform, because that platform's going to go down and you're going to go down with it. And what's even more heartbreaking is that Jinx is like, you can't save him, which is what Vi has tried to do from the beginning. Vi tried to literally save him in season 1, and that didn't work out. She tried to save him in season 2, episode 6, and that didn't work out. And she can't save him now either, so she's failed 3 times to save her dad, which is a lot of times, and also just sad because her whole idealism is trying to save people that she loves, because she feels like she fails at that, and that's who she is as a person. She's a protector. So Jinx saying that just ruins the mood. Like, but then he comes back to life. I don't know how that's possible because everyone else in the whole Victor hive mind is dead, but he comes back to life and starts trying to beat the shit out of her because he's not there anymore, and it's just like the Arcane is in there. I don't really know what he's like, what he is now because Victor is dead. So someone could explain that to me, that'd be great because I don't really understand why he comes back to life. But that's okay. It's okay. So Jinx here is realizing that the only way to get Vi out of this, her sister, is to defeat Warwick Vander or whatever, because Jinx essentially created this thing. If Jinx hadn't explodey the room, Vander may have never gotten Shimmer and died in the first place. So technically, Jinx is like, I need to stop the cycle. I need to kill Vander, and I need to leave because this is my own doing. And if I weren't around, then maybe we would all be happy. So that's what she does, and Vi loses Jinx, who she also wanted to protect and to get back. So in the end, Vi is only left with Caitlyn. And it almost makes her probably feel like she's failed again. Jinx is like, I'm gonna be always with you, and then she just dies. Seems sweet, but when you think about it, like, to me it means like, I'm going to haunt you in your memories for the rest of your life. That's what I interpret it as. It's a bit darker than most people would like to, but like, Vi is gonna be is traumatized by this, like, for real. Like, she is not gonna live this moment down because she just failed to save two people now that she loves, Jinx and Vander. And Vi has the most painful cry I think I've ever heard. Like, people isolated the audio to this, and it's so sad because she's just lost like the one person she spent 2 seasons trying to get back. So now the only person she has is Caitlyn. So yeah, we do know that to some extent that Jinx escaped, but she doesn't know that. And there's been conspiracies that Caitlyn knows that Jinx escaped as well because she's looking at like the blueprints for the hex gates and stuff, but none of it's confirmed. So I don't know. Take that with a grain of salt. But like, at what cost did Vi gain Caitlyn at? Is the real question here. And was it worth it? Which is why, in the end, when Caitlyn asks Vi, like, are you still in this fight? Caitlyn isn't asking about, are you still in the war with Mbessa? No, Caitlyn's asking, like, are you still willing to live? Basically, is what I got that from. Are you still willing to be motivated to pursue, like, life with me, even though you've lost all your family that matters so much to you? And Vi's like, I am the dirt underneath your nails, which is because Caitlyn is all Vi has left. So Vi has to be the dirt underneath your nails, which is so hard to get out because Caitlyn is all Vi has left now. So that's what the dirt underneath your nails means, essentially. It's like, she's like, I'm not leaving you. Like, you're the only thing that I have. Caitlyn's the only thing Vi has now. So in the conclusion of Vi's analysis over season 2, she's gone from not knowing who she is, sacrificing herself for someone who is revenge bound, to finding peace, kind of, sort of, in being a protector of Piltover and merging Zon together with Caitlyn. This could also be seen as a merging of Piltover and Zon because Vi's roots are tied to Zon, while Caitlyn's is tied to Piltover. But it's like this union now between Vi and Caitlyn, between Zon and Piltover, where Vi has found her identity, reuniting Zon and Piltover, which is what Vander and Jinx and herself wanted in the first place long ago. And she kind of successes this idea that Vander had long ago about connecting Piltover and Zon together into one and not having this harsh borderline reality of oppressiveness and all that stuff. And being with Caitlyn kind of proves that in a way. It's two opposites coming together. So now, even though Vi has lost everyone, she now can be kind of dedicated to reuniting Zon with Piltover and like succeeding in something that her loved ones wanted so badly between the two cities. So, I'm so sorry. Using those fists of hers to be like, I don't know. Yippee! I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry. I can't do this with a straight face. You really think I needed all the guards at the hex gates, and it implies. Oh. Can we stop? Can we stop recording? Thanks.